Good morning, you're very welcome along to Ireland M right here on Virgin Media 1.
It is Tuesday the 23rd of July and there's loads coming up on today's show, so léime muid isteach, Tommy.
And that just means let's jump straight into it. As Kamala Harris looks likely to be the next Democratic nominee for the US presidential election, we are going to be speaking to a former Clinton advisor on her chances of winning the presidency. That's going to be at 7:35.
And at 7:45, we'll be discussing anti-aging. Why are we all so obsessed with it? I know you are. And how can we slow it down? We'll be speaking to a leading researcher in aging to find out lots more.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. Now at 8:15, we're also going to meet the 2-year-old Alex Horgan. You might have seen him on social media. He's living with an extremely rare condition called Cloves. His parents, Sarah and Eddie, are going to be here with us to talk how it affects their son and how he inspires them every day.
What else have we coming up today, Alan?
Well, Louise, we've got a list of riveting reads from our resident reviewer, Ciara King. The skin nerd, Jennifer Rock, will be here to answer your dermatology dilemmas. Plus, Farja Phoebe is making some meadow sweet ice cream. Do you know what that is? Well, you're going to find out later on. Now, Eric is getting crafty in Dublin this morning. How are you getting on, Eric?
Crafty by name, crafty by nature, Alan. How's things? We're coming to you live here from Smithfield Square, and in a little bit I'm going to be popping over to Alternative Dublin to talk to Isabel, the manager. She's going to be telling me all about why it's growing in popularity so much with all their group activities. And I'm also going to be channeling my inner Patrick Swayze from Ghost. We're going to be making a bit of pottery. If you have anything in studio that you want me to bring you back, let me know and I'll make you a souvenir. And then a little bit later on we're going to be chatting to Jonathan as well, who actually attends a few of the classes. We're going to be painting some ceramics just to make sure we have the nice finished polished product for you all, and that's all coming up in the next hour or so stay tuned. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Patrick Swayze. We could definitely do with a few more pots, so if you could do anything like this we'd appreciate it.
Coming up.
Good stuff, Eric. We'll catch up with you a little bit later on.
Up next, we'll be bringing you the top stories from today's papers, including a proposed ban on sunbeds.
There you have it, yes. We'll see you back here in just a few minutes. Good morning, you're very welcome back. It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the Irish Independent. Its front page reads, farmers squeezed out of land deals by rich investors as wealthy buyers seek to snap up parcels of land. Pushing the prices up across the country now are increased calls to limit farm inheritance tax relief for wealthy non-farmers amid the surge in land prices.
The Examiner leads with Harris I's historic nomination. US Vice President Kamala Harris has moved swiftly to lock up Democratic delegates and last night secured the endorsement of former House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi, inching her closer to a battle with former President Donald Trump.
My horror at Casey's stately funeral in Cathedral. That's the top story on the Daily Mail. It goes on to report survivor Patricia Donovan's horror of learning that Bishop Eamon Casey was buried in Galway Cathedral, but how it ultimately saved her life, driving her to expose the serial abuser.
The Mirror goes with girl 11 dies in balcony fall horror. It writes how 11-year-old Irish girl Clodagh Phelan died in a horror balcony fall while on holiday with her family in Majorca.
Yeah, that's a heartbreaking story. The Sun also leads with that. Their headline, Clodagh 11 dies in balcony plunge.
As does the Herald and the Star, with Clodagh being described as a beautiful, spirited child following her death on the Spanish holiday island yesterday.
And finally, the Irish Times leads with Sinn Féin pledges a new migration system in policy shift. It goes on to say how Sinn Féin states that their new system would require an audit of local services such as health, housing, transport and education to be completed before any accommodation centre for asylum seekers is located in a community.
Well, we'll start with that story this morning. Sinn Féin have pledged a revised immigration system in their new international protection policy.
Yes, so joining us with that story is Aisling Maloney, a political correspondent with the Daily Mail, and Lorcan Nine from Communications Clinic. Good morning to you both. Great to have you with us. Aisling, let's start off with this. So Sinn Féin, we had Mary Lou McDonald on here last week talking about they're going to bring out this new policy unveiling. Is it unveiling a bit today as well about this migration
they're launching it today, but as usual, the papers have gotten a leak of what's going to come out today. So essentially, yeah, Sinn Féin have kind of had a muddled position on immigration for the last year or so and have kind of struggled to really deal with the mounting issue. We know now that it's one of the problems or issues that the state is seriously facing and will continue to face going past the next election and onwards. And it's not something that's within the control of any government, of any party. It is an external factor. There's people on the move all over the world due to war, persecution, in many cases effects of climate change. So this will continue. And so I suppose the electorate, people looking at who they're going to vote the next time, will want to know how that party wants to handle it. So here Sinn Féin are saying that they would do an audit of any area where they propose to put in accommodation for asylum seekers, that they would audit things such as health, housing, transport and education services in the area before they decided to locate an asylum seeker accommodation centre. This is obviously very interesting given the unrest we have in Coolock in the last week over the placement of an accommodation centre in the area.
How feasible is it though? Because I feel like people need this accommodation immediately. So is this something that can be done now?
Well, it's difficult because I think in any of these areas, talking about health, I mean, health is a national issue. There are hospitals all over the country that are under pressure. Housing is an issue all over the country. GP services, there are shortages of GPs in many areas. There are shortages of Gardaís.
There's nowhere is going to be saying that they have an abundance.
And as you say,
also the money to do this, I feel like it would be expensive.
But
well, as you say, how quickly do you need them? And that's what the government at the moment has been saying, that there is such a movement of people into the country. Currently, there's nearly 2,400 people, male asylum applicants, who are left homeless, essentially, by the state, and we see them sleeping in tents.
Exactly. The government is under huge pressure. I mean, Lorcan, from Sinn Féin's point of view, Mary Lou McDonald was told that the party failed to have the backs of their supporters, failed to reflect the concerns of the ordinary people. She talked last week about having clarity. Is this bringing any clarity on what we're hearing this is going to come out today in their policy?
It's bringing clarity on the decision that Sinn Féin have made, where they've been having this issue where they've had, two groups of voters who kind of disagree with each other on the immigration issue. They've been trying to triangulate between the two of them, and Sinn Féin now have obviously decided, OK, it's the community groups who are worried about lack of consultation, would be the phrase that tends to be used, and here that's where we're going to back. So we're going to have an immigration system. They've called it a fair system that works, which on the top line of it, how could you be against a fair system that works?
Yeah,
But when you delve down into it, I mean, that idea of an audit of the area, it's like the consultation thing. It's so vague as to kind of be, you can decide what it means yourself. They should be able to perhaps point to, right, here's an area that we think would pass our audit. Here are the lines of our audit. Here's an area that would pass. Maybe they will do that today, but I think it's probably unlikely they're going to do that today. The time issue is also part of it. Part of the policy then as well, the other interesting element of it is they've talked about ending the two-tier system, where at the moment Ukrainian refugees would have different rates than asylum seekers. Again, look, on the face of it, that's absolutely fine. I'd be interested to see which way do they see the tiers moving. Do the Ukrainian ones move down, which I imagine is what they're actually saying, or is everybody going to get brought up to the new level, which is what we would tend to talk about.
Interesting to hear, because listen, after disappointing local and European elections, will this have an impact? Because they're going to need that, what could be a busy couple of months for them. Ashley, let's go on to this other story. We know that the threat of AI and I suppose the benefits we're seeing every year, but this EU Police Coordination Agency has raised a few concerns.
Yeah, so and I suppose for any listeners with younger ears, maybe this isn't exactly appropriate, but they're talking about the online sexual extortion of minors as a rising threat because of AI-generated imagery, and that will further proliferate because of the emergence of AI and its improvements. So this is the Europol cybercrime report who's talking about this. So they're saying that the AI-assisted cybercrime has only just begun, really, and they're already seeing that it's AI, I suppose, is not only helping those who are trying to extort sexually explicit imagery out of children in grooming them, in translating languages to get to children, to appear as children maybe as well on air or online, and to try and get an image of them, but then also in actually generating an image itself, so creating an AI-generated sexually explicit image of a minor. So, you know, the way AI can bring together components of lots of different imagery, and it can create essentially from scratch
We
imagery.
had a girl on here only a few months ago, I think, talking about how she just posted a normal picture online, and through whatever software they were able to actually fully remove the clothes, and this picture then has been circulated online. She was able to show the genuine one, and so
It's absolutely
it's
terrifying.
frightening
And
that then they
completely,
can use this to blackmail young
I
teenagers.
guess a child using social media doesn't have the power that a parent might have. So is there anything, Lorcan, that a parent can do?
I think when it comes to the element of parents, it's just you have to be able to talk to your kids about on a whole host of different levels, which is when you're chatting, if you're gaming and you're chatting online, you need to be super careful that the person who you're talking to may not be the person who you're talking to. Part of this issue is peers in school doing it to each other. So because the AI tools are so accessible, it's people doing it to their classmates and then sharing it around as if it's a joke, but then that becomes abuse material. So talk to your kids about that on both sides of the issue, I think. Just talk about, be careful how you use it. As well as what you share yourself as well. So just talk. I mean, and I know it's unsettling, and I think at times you feel, geez, they're so young, maybe they're I don't need to yet.
Have the conversation.
You do.
Yeah.
You have to have the conversation.
That's it. If your kids are playing social media, anything like that,
The access to it, maybe limiting it at the root. I mean, we've had a lot of discussions, especially at a state, I suppose, government level, about restricting social media, phone use in primary school. And I suppose those are the most vulnerable children. But yeah, if you're a teenager, you need to be able to tell your parents that something has gone wrong.
It just highlights what the great challenges to police, and this is only just getting started. Listen, Micheál Martin, he's back at it. He was responsible for the smoking ban, wasn't he?
Well, he hasn't reminded anyone of that.
Over and over, but it's
Now he's banning suntans, is that right?
So he's known across the world, actually, as one of the radical health ministers that did get rid of smoking inside and the smoking ban, and how that had an impact on health. So in fairness to him, he's taking another similar kind of radical approach to sunbeds. So there was a call in the Dáil from the Cork West Cork TD Christopher O'Sullivan from Fianna Fáil, Micheál Martin's party, to ban sunbeds because of research that has come out from South Infirmary Victoria University Hospital and University College Cork, which found that over 41% of people have used a sunbed, and some 10% of people have used a sunbed in the last year. And a huge proportion of them were aware of the risks but still went and used the sunbed. So that's actually really high usage, and I think it was 1,000 people. So 10% were using them the last year.
They're still everywhere. They're still
everywhere.
Tommy, have you ever had a sunbed?
Back in my early 20s, I certainly wasn't in this report. What about you? Were you in a sunbed?
Do you know what? I've had one in my life, but I'm so pale it had no effect. And also, I think now with all the knowledge we have about, the harm.
No, I actually think
it's a good thing. Get rid.
Oh no, get rid.
Honestly,
Yeah,
get
I mean,
rid.
so Micheál Martin's saying that the evidence is so strong that sunbeds in particular is carcinogen. It causes cancer.
People know, and they're still using them.
There's a couple of different issues with it all. I mean, the risk is obvious. I think it's common sense I think it is common sense to ban them. I suppose the slight distinction from the smoking ban was, the idea with the smoking ban was your passive smoke is impacting other people, while in the sunbeds it's the risk, you're doing it to yourself.
Well, look at the levels of skin cancer in Ireland. I would say we know these facts, so
and there's an impact on the health service, and there's an impact wider than that. And look, people sometimes, and I know people don't agree with this, maybe sometimes people need to be protected from themselves. I mean, we know the risks and we don't always make the best decisions, and so sometimes the government does need to step in and say, look, we gave you the education, it's not working, you're still using these very dangerous things. We are no longer letting you use these very, very dangerous things.
Interesting.
Even if Tommy,
I'll give you some fake stats.
Listen, you can get it from
a bottle.
I had to go join the Ospreys and say that, or stand for a full spray tan. Maybe once
Get
or
the spray
twice.
tan all day, every day.
It was the awkward little goggles you get as well. Wasn't a good look. Are you part of that 10% who might have tried a sunbed in the last year? We'd love to hear from you. Would you think that banning sunbed shops, because we see them, they're still everywhere. You see people going in and out of them. We'd love to hear from you. 0896 111 111. Shall we finally just quickly talk about parking in your local towns and areas? People in Dublin, in Phibsborough Road, have decided to take it into their own hands to stop people parking the footpath.
This is a group of cyclists, iBike Dublin, that they're around a long time. They're around since 2017. They actually, on footpaths where you're not supposed to park, they drew and they painted big blue parking signs, and people actually ended up parking on them. But they were to demonstrate that you shouldn't be parking up on a footpath. I mean, wheelchair access is one thing, safety for cyclists is another. And I suppose highlighting that maybe Dublin City Council, or whatever council it is, I suppose in this case Dublin City, but in it, whatever council probably needs to be doing more to stop people who are parking illegally. And I'm not just talking about on double yellow line or slightly outside a parking space. You're talking about open a footpath.
Ah, yeah. Listen, we want to hear that in your local town as well. Are you fed up with people just parking up on the footpaths? You can't get past them. Again, we'd love to hear from you on that. Lorcan Lyon from the Communications Clinic. Great to have you with us. Ashley Maloney from the Daily Mail. Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Now, coming up next, we're going to be speaking to the former Clinton advisor on Vice President Kamala Harris's path to election in November.
Plus, we will learn all about anti-ageing. See you soon.
There you have it. Not the Sunday. Now, with President Joe Biden stepping aside in the presidential election, all eyes are now on the Vice President, Kamala Harris.
Yes, she has consolidated Democratic support for her presidential bid and looks likely to be the nominee. But does she have what it takes to beat Donald Trump in November? Joining us now to discuss this is political consultant and former advisor to Bill Clinton, live from New York this morning, Hank Shankoff. Good morning to you, Hank, and thank you so much for getting up and joining us live from New York this morning. Hank, it looks like she will be the next person to run for president for the Democratic Party, because I think they want unity now, don't they? And last night with Nancy Pelosi coming out and supporting her, there's only one name now going forward.
Look, it's very important for the Democrats to have unity in the United States. Unlike, I guess, much of the rest of the world, this party is a very fractious one. It is a bunch of clans. It really doesn't have a group that's kind of tied together. There are young people who are fighting older people. There's a transition, which is one of the reasons why a generational transition, which is why Joe Biden is no longer the nominee of his party. So if there's no unity, there will be no Kamala Harris, and Donald Trump would win handily.
So, Hank, there's less than 100 days until the election. What does Kamala Harris or the Democrats need to do in order to try and even put up a fight to Donald Trump?
Well, first, I think that anything can happen in politics. I've worked all over the world, and what we do know is that one day in politics is akin to 20 years in anything else. So don't make Donald Trump the president yet. There's a ways to go. I think that she can win. It won't be easy. Right now, it looks not to be the case. Donald Trump appears to be invincible, but yesterday, I mean, the vice presidential nominee Vance was atrocious in his words. Trump's response to Biden's leaving the field was terrible, and exactly what Americans didn't want. It wasn't very kind, and considering that everybody had called for kind of a more peaceful and calmer political environment after the near assassination of Trump, you'd expect people would behave differently. She has extraordinary credentials. She was the head of the second largest prosecutor's office in the country in California. She was a district attorney in San Francisco County. She served the U.S. Senate. She was vice president of the United States. She has an enviable academic background. She's very smart and very tough, and people are underestimating her.
Hank, I mean, you're saying that she's been vice president. She's been vice president now for 3.5 years. On this side of the water, we haven't seen her much. Has she been more visible in the US over those couple of years?
Well, she's been more visible, but, you know, historically, on your side of the Atlantic or this side of the Atlantic, the vice president doesn't do much, isn't seen much. And the only way the vice president gets any kind of exposure is if the president gives that vice president tasks to do. Now, the problem here, which you will appreciate, is the tasks that Joe Biden gave her to do all had to do with migrants and the border, which in the United States right now is a very, very big issue, a very negative one. But this, and you can bet that the Trump campaign will try to hang it around her.
Yeah, but Hank, this is the thing that the Republicans are aiming at her, saying that she failed miserably at that, and that they're still coming in their thousands every day.
Sure. I agree. I agree with you, and they're going to keep doing it. But you see, underneath all this, like in all power plays, this really wasn't about the presidency so much. Joe Biden needed to be gone because what you would call the shadow leader of the House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries, and the leader of the Senate both Democrats knew that if Joe Biden remained in power, that the Senate would be likely go to Republican hands, and that the House would not have a chance to go back into Democrat hands. So the losses would be immense. And that's really the reason why it's happened the way that it did.
Hank, you said don't write her off. What does she need to do? How is she going to turn this in her favour?
Unify the Democratic Party. In the United States right now, among the most important issues is reproductive rights for women. Run with reproductive rights for women. Run with expressing confidence in that she can lead the free world, which is the job here. Get a vice presidential candidate who is more reflective of some of the swing states. And I think a perfect choice, if they do, would be a fellow named Kelly, Mark Kelly, who was a U.S. Senator from Arizona, whose wife, Gabby Giffords, was the victim of an assassination attempt. And putting Kelly in there, who's an astronaut and they're a hero and served as the American service, was a serviceman, a soldier, would be an extraordinary thing to do. If she can get that fella and put this ticket together in a way that makes sense to average Americans, then she has a shot. But if not, it'll be the Democrats doing what they usually do, which is alienating the public. And this public right now is very, very different than any we've seen in quite some time.
Yeah, and Hank, how do you think, like she was, as you said, a public prosecutor, so she's very good at speaking. But there has been times when she hasn't been great at stuff that she's been doing in speeches and stuff. How do you think she'll do at a head-to-head debate with Trump?
I think that'll be difficult for her in the beginning. She's going to have to learn how to face a wild lion in the cage, who's not in the cage anymore. Trump's etiquette in debates is certainly no etiquette at all. And I think that he's right now the leader. But if you listen to his Vice President J.D. Vance's speeches and you watch Trump, you find that they're as perplexed by Kamala Harris as you'd imagine. Why? They didn't anticipate this. Imagine spending tens of millions of dollars in polling and research and ad development against Joe Biden, and suddenly there is no Joe Biden. So I think that the fault difference will lie with the Trump campaign making errors and allowing Kamala Harris to put the Democrat states together to run on a pro-choice platform. That's what I mean by that is reproductive rights. And to find a couple of other issues that she can drive. And that makes her a contender. Now, is she the winner today? The answer is no. Could she be the winner is what I'm saying. In 100 days, the answer is not out of the realm of possibility.
Okay, but you're not saying yes.
I'm not saying that we should all get invitations. You and I, the three of us, should wind up in the White House for the inauguration of Kamala Harris. That's bad. Don't make the trip. It's bad. Don't get on the airplane.
Don't get on the airplane just yet.
Very interesting, and it is going to be extremely interesting over the coming months. Listen, Hank Shankoff, thank you so much for joining us from New York this morning. Of course, political correspondent over there, getting up and talking to us in the middle of the night. Really appreciate it.
Cool. Now, coming up, we delve into our obsession with anti-aging.
Whose obsession? Don't go anywhere.
Fáilte Rás go Ireland AM. Now, last week, a new drug dubbed the supermodel granny drug made the headlines as it was proven to slow down ageing in lab mice and is now being tested in people.
Oh my God, we all want it, but the name's terrible. Joining us now to discuss this story as well as why we are over-obsessed with anti-aging is head of the Aging Research Programme at Trinity College, Professor Roseanne Kenny. Good morning to you, Professor. Thank you so much for joining us. Are we obsessed with ageing?
Well, some people are, and I think I think since social media has taken off in 2012, it's becoming more and more of a thing. Yes, I definitely think so.
Because we always wanted to maybe look well and look young and look healthy, but it has gone to another side now, hasn't it?
Because people associating looking well and healthy with being happy. You know, they actually go hand in hand. If you're in good form and in good mood and you feel good about yourself, you're happy within your skin, as it were. And that conveys a good vibe to other people around you. So it's all tied up with that. The obsession with not having one single wrinkle, I'm not so sure how healthy that is.
I think that social media, we've said it, is a big contender in this because, you know, we've got a phone in our hand, we've got a camera in our hand, we're seeing selfies, we're looking at ourselves all of the time. And also, it's so easy to filter things and, you know, to make yourself look really how you'd like maybe to desire your face to look, wrinkle-free. You just have to flick an Instagram to the Paris filter and you look like a whole new person. So I don't know if the supermodel granny drug is something that actually would interest a lot of people. I wouldn't mind being a supermodel granny.
Well, let's talk about what I know. Lots of super grannies, supermodel grannies, who are fabulous and who are very happy in their own skin.
Yes.
I mean, really, that's where we want to be.
That's the important thing, isn't
That
it?
is what matters. And this eternal youth, striving, etc. Like, what message does that give? That says, as people are getting older, they don't have as much worth, or you know, they're not as attractive, etc. I think people can be very attractive at any age. Pamela Anderson stopped wearing makeup a few months ago. I think she looks wonderful in the pictures of her, but she's had a lot of social media kick. I'll tell you about this so-called supermodel granny drug. I hadn't heard the expression before, but it's a new drug. The study has been done on mice, so that's the first contender. And we have, when we get an infection or any insult, you get an inflammatory response, and the cytokines, etc., the interleukins are part of that inflammatory response. We need them.
Okay.
So this is a drug which blocks IL-11, which actually rises with advancing age and is higher in people who have diseases associated with age, like cancer, like dementia, like arthritis, like heart disease, etc. So what they did in the mice is they showed that IL-11 was associated with all those age-related diseases. That's the first thing, very clearly in the mice. They blocked the gene in mice and confirmed all of that. And then they developed an antibody against that IL-11 and blocked it, and the mice aged by further 25%.
We have some of a look at some of the mice here. Well, I haven't seen this, so...
The mice actually look great. I mean, as good as a mouse can look.
No, I'm taking the one on the right as the healthier one than after.
Look at its hair, it's lush.
Yeah, it is. You can see its hair, it's younger looking, it's got more hair, it's actually got more body mass, etc. There are videos you can get and you can have a look at the mice. The movement is faster.
So the drug is something that works mentally and physically. It's obviously for physical appearance, but also you're mentioning, like, you know, other like dementia is
so my caveat is this: it's only been tried on mice. That's the first thing, and the second thing is that, you know, we need that inflammatory response. So with anything, you have to be very careful to tailor it so that we can actually have an inflammatory response when we need it, but in the context of the aging process, that we can modify this particular interleukin so that it's not rising with age and causing all of these side effects. It's a very delicate balance, and if you get it wrong, you could be subject to a lot of side effects.
Are they going to trial it on humans? Do we know?
It's actually in trials at the moment, but it's in trials for something else. It's in trials for a disorder called pulmonary fibrosis, which is a scarring of the lungs, it's a terminal disease. It's very aggressive, and basically the lungs scar up until one can't breathe in enough of oxygen anymore. Part of the aging process is associated with fibrosis as well. So it's on the back of that they started doing all of these studies. So actually the drug is in trials for pulmonary fibrosis.
Yeah. So aside from the drugs, though, is there a way to slow down aging?
Yeah, of course, and we've talked about this many, many times on this show. There are lots of easy things. The one I love is engagement, social engagement, having friendships, having a zest for life, continuing with variety in your life, curiosity in your life. All of those factors actually reduce these inflammatory processes at a cell level. We can look at that and see, okay,
but why is that?
Because we have evolved to need other people. We've evolved from when we were on all fours to need each other, each with functions. And if you're alone, isolated, lonely, we involute, because one doesn't feel a need that they're needed anymore. Which is why this talk about aging and trying to counteract aging, etc., and everything you were talking about earlier on with respect to Joe Biden and the language around all of that is so toxic at a society level, because it makes makes people who are getting older feel.
Do you think there's a fear, though, with people, you know, who are nearing retirement age? They think if I disengage my brain and I stop doing what I normally do from Monday to Friday, that I will age quicker, or, you know, mentally I will become slower?
But actually, so you do actually age more quickly if you disengage.
Okay.
You know, you do. So that's been well established.
But not necessarily if you retire.
No, not retirement.
You know,
now, you have to be careful with retirement. People must plan for retirement. It's very, very important that you don't, after retirement, feel, oh, where's my purpose?
Yeah.
I have no value anymore. So you really do need to prepare yourself for retirement. I know loads of people, though, who've retired and that life just gets better.
They're doing more.
They're doing
more.
Yeah.
Because we actually had a segment on the show about 2 weeks ago about the great unretirement. And it's about people who were retired but then came back out of retirement and went, do you know what, I'm going to work in a supermarket.
Yes.
I'm going to do this.
Yes.
I'm doing this 3 days a week too.
Yeah.
And they were loving it.
Yes.
And it gave them a whole new lease of life.
Because there's two things to that. First of all, less pressure, maybe, than their previous job.
Yeah.
And less expectations. Secondly, they're making the choice about what they want to do. And thirdly, they're engaging with people and meeting new people, very often young people. And part of the solution to this is to continue with intergenerational engagement, speaking and engaging with all age groups. For all age groups, that's of benefit. A lot of younger people are getting most of their wisdom now from social media instead of from older members of our
and
society.
Do they all have
give
to be
so
in life, real life engagements? You can't be doing this online. It needs to be a face-to-face.
Absolutely.
For the brain to really get buzzing.
I totally agree with you.
How can we slow down the brain aging?
Oh, by everything that's good for...
just
so
the same
physical
thing.
exercise is very good because
Right.
what we trigger in terms of circulating factors with physical exercise is really good for brain health. And also continuing to engage, to read, to variety. You know, do something new every year. Do a little bit more exercise over the age of 50 every year. Not less, more.
Well,
very interesting.
Professor
So, Head of
Roseanne
Aging
Penny,
Research
thank you so
Program at
much.
Trinity College, Professor Roseanne, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Still to come this morning, Eric is learning the art of pottery.
Plus chocolate chip cookie bars in the kitchen. Oh, looking forward to that. We'll see you back here very shortly.
Hello, a very good morning. Welcome back to Ireland Down. With lots more still to come.
Yes, first up this hour, we'll be meeting parents Sarah and Eddie Horgan, whose little boy Axel is living with a rare condition called cloves. They'll be here with Axel to share his story at 8:15.
I just met little Axel outside. Gorgeous little fella. And for something completely different, we've got an array of summer reads that are going to keep you content this summer for your holidays. Going to have the perfect little page turner. That's 9:20.
Brilliant. And at 9:45, the Skin Nerd, aka Jennifer Rock, will be answering your questions. If you have a skincare question for, try say that fast 3 times. Skincare question for Jennifer, you can send
Easy.
it. Go on.
Go on. 0896 111 111. Alan, take it away there. Skincare questions.
Skincare questions now. Yes, Paul Knapp is treating us this morning to something you don't very often do this, Paul.
No,
giving us a sweet treat.
Yeah, no, there's too many rules in baking, it does my head, and you have to really, really follow. But what we're going to do is we're going to have a go at making some chunky chocolate chip cookie bars. So instead of the cookies, we're making it into one big kind of a thing. Then we're going to cut it up, and then we're going to serve it with a little bit of something to ease your conscience.
Yes, I
got
saw
nothing-
the strawberries and the blueberries, and I was saying, OK, we can have that and the chocolate chip cookie.
That's got nothing to do with the recipe, other than just going to make you feel better about yourself.
Exactly, yeah. But they're big chunky ones. That's the whole idea, isn't it? Yeah. Now, Eric is getting his hands dirty this morning as he attempts some ceramic creations. Over to you, Eric.
I am indeed. The hands are dirty already. We're coming to you live from Smithfield here with Alternative Dublin. I'm here with the lovely manager, Isabel. Isabel, tell me a bit about Alternative Dublin, what it is you do here.
So we are primarily an events company who focus around art-based events, and we do events all over Dublin city centre, and we also specialise in corporate and private groups.
Amazing. So it's something for tourists to come and do that doesn't involve heading to the pub, basically?
Absolutely. All of our events are created for people who have not done arts in school or if ever, so it's really easy, really accessible for everyone, and something fun that everyone can take part in.
And we're going to try our hand at something today. What exactly is it we're going to be trying to make?
We're going to be making one of the gorgeous mugs here. So
lovely. Some cups for the guys to drink some tea out of in the cosy studios, hey? And we're going to be doing that later on with Roberta, and I'm very, very excited to chat to her all about how we're going to get stuck into this. Going back to you now in the studio, guys.
Thank you very much.
A gorgeous cup on. Can't wait.
You're very welcome back. It's time to take a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with The Independent. Its front page reads, farmers squeezed out of land deals by rich investors as wealthy buyers seek to snap up parcels of land, pushing up prices across the country. There are increased calls to limit farm inheritance tax reliefs for wealthy non-farmers amid the surge in land prices.
The Examiner leads with Harris I's historic nomination. US Vice President Kamala Harris has moved swiftly to lock up Democrat delegates and last night secured the endorsement of the former House Representative Speaker Nancy Pelosi, inching her closer to a battle with former President Donald Trump.
My horror at Casey's stately funeral in Cathedral. That's the top story on the Daily Mail. It goes on to report survivor Patricia Donovan's horror of learning that Bishop Eamon Casey was buried in Galway Cathedral, but now and how it ultimately saved her life driving to expose the serial abuser.
The Mirror goes with girl 11 dies in balcony fall horror. It writes how 11-year-old Irish Clodagh Phelan died in a horror balcony fall while on holiday with her family in Mallorca.
Yeah, heartbreaking story. The Sun also leads with headline, Clodagh 11 dies in balcony plunge.
As does the Herald and the Star, with Clodagh being described as a beautiful, spirited child following her death on the Spanish holiday island yesterday.
Yeah, finally, the Irish Times leads with Sinn Féin pledges new migration system in policy shift. It goes on to say how Sinn Féin states that their new system would require an audit of local services such as health, housing, transport and education to be completed before any accommodation centre for asylum seekers is located in the community. There you have it.
Yeah, now lots of text coming in and lots coming in on the fact that Micheál Martin is supporting a call to ban sunbeds. Have you ever done
sunbeds? You
sunbeds?
were on the couch now, so you didn't get out of it, Alan.
No,
I have done one in my life.
I have done sunbeds now years and years ago when everybody was doing sunbeds, and it was like there was a sunbed shop on every corner.
Big time, but they're still all over the place.
I don't see many of them.
They are.
Are they?
And I think people are actively using them, but like. Also, you know, if you're going on holidays, would you sun worship? Would you lie out and try to get a tan?
Oh, yeah, I love the
tan. I love the sun. Yeah. But like factor 30 or factor 50 on my face.
You have the SPF.
So I have
but
that's
that. Only been encouraged more and more. Like my dad, and like he loves the sun as well. Like he back in the day would be putting oil on. And
I know. Friends of ours used to do that as well. But I think, has it not changed? Is it not safe? Are the sunbeds not safer now?
Because
I used to come out red.
Like the sun isn't
ridiculous.
safer. Do you know what I mean?
No, but the
sunbeds.
No, but the sunbeds, are they not safer?
So. Well,
I'd
Danielle,
say they must be technology.
Safer.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think
compared
so.
to back in the day, God knows what you were getting into.
Yeah.
I know. Danielle says my mum used to be addicted to sunbeds in the 90s. She would go from sunbed to sunbed on the same day and obviously lie that she hadn't used a different place each day. Much more knowledge of the dangers nowadays.
Yeah, and there are dangers with sunbeds, and you have to be aware of that. And everybody knows the dangers of sunbeds.
And skin cancer, to be fair, is the highest cancer in Ireland as well. It's a huge like it's frightening actually when you hear some people with some of the skin cancer and the treatment that they've go through from that.
That's the thing. I don't think the sunbeds can be safer when you're still getting the UV. You know, it's still.
But I think technology has moved on to maybe where they were
years ago.
But
it's still not good.
I'm not pro-sunbed.
I went on a sunbed once and only once. I'm so pale that I came out. I had red stripes down my back and legs.
Wow, because of the tubes. I've been using sunbeds for 43 years with no issue. Users are adults and it's your own decision. No. Well, that's fair enough.
Honestly,
I will be very sad if sunbeds are banned. But I'll be buying one to use at home instead.
I mean, this is the thing that Lorcan Nyan from the Communications Clinic was saying, because Micheál Martin was one of the people, leaders who kind of banned smoking in bars. Yeah. But it was all about, think about the users beside you, that your passive smoking was what actually has how dangerous it was. Yeah. Where this is sunbeds trying to tell one person who knows the dangers to stop doing it.
Okay, but think about the people in your life if you die of skin cancer. Like, honestly, I'm just not condoning it. I think it's grand. Get rid of the sunbeds. We'll be fine with fake tan.
But this is a message here from somebody saying, I've been using it. I understand the consequences, but I'm happy to do it.
But I'm an adult and I should be allowed to do what I do.
It's a no for me.
And you wonder how many businesses would be put out of business then. Like, you know, you sort of things like that. But we do know the risks. That's the thing. There are risks involved.
Let us know what you think. Do you back Micheál Martin in trying to get rid of sunbeds? We'd love to hear from you. 0896 111 111. Now, coming up next, we're going to be joining Axel Horgan, a 2-year-old boy who is living with an extremely rare condition called cloves.
He'll be here with his mum and his dad after this short break.
See you soon.
Good morning, you're very welcome back. Now, Cloves syndrome is an extremely rare progressive overgrowth disorder affecting less than 200 people worldwide, including 2-year-old Axel Horgan from Kerry.
And the lovely Axel is in studio with us today, as well as his parents, Sarah and Eddie, to raise awareness about the rare condition. Thank you so much for coming up from Listowel. And Axel, thank you for joining us. Oh, you're having a big old yawn.
Oh, yeah.
You're dead right. You've enough done.
We know exactly how you feel.
Just a normal day.
Axel, it's flying it. How is he, Sarah?
Well, he's good today. He has his good and bad days. So we take the good and the bad and we make the most of just the small little things that we can do.
He's a gorgeous little fella, little character as well. Tell us a bit about the condition Cloves.
So Cloves is non-hereditary, meaning that we don't carry the gene. It's a complex, chronic, progressive condition.
Okay.
And Axel is, less than 200 people in the world, so he's very rare.
How does it affect him?
So if you go by Cloves, so C, congenital, so it was present at birth, where it wasn't noticed before birth. L for the lipomatous, so the overgrowth on his back, on his chest, he gets the O for overgrowth, the V for vascular malformations, E for epidermal nevi, and S for skeletal anomalies. So Axel is affected head to toe, and Cloves affects people differently completely. So one person who has Cloves might just have an overgrown toe, whereas Axel was affected head to toe.
Okay.
So
and how long did it take to get the diagnosis? Because you mentioned it being so rare. He's one of 200 people in the world.
So when Axel was born, they hadn't a clue what was going on. So rang Crumlin straight away, and they were fantastic and got us up. Did a skin biopsy on Axel, and it took about 3 months because they went to Belgium, and he got diagnosed with the PIK3CA gene mutation.
My goodness. So it was when he was born. Eddie, from your point of view as a father in a situation like that, Axel comes out and the doctors and nurses, I know, realised something wasn't quite right there.
I suppose you have every possible emotion. Like, there was the euphoria of having firstborn son.
Yeah.
You know, you literally, everything just turned suddenly to panic. Because they knew pretty quickly.
Aren't you?
They knew something was wrong pretty quickly, so I suppose euphoria was turning to panic. As a father, I suppose we felt completely helpless. You're proud of Sarah, proud of Axel, but you're rushed off into the emergency unit, you know, and plus every possible emotion, proud but panic.
Is it something you're made aware of? You obviously didn't know that he had this condition before.
No.
What was in your head? I mean, whenever your firstborn son gets taken away into another room.
It was just so upsetting because I was just lying there, not realising what was going on, and all I could hear was, we don't know what's going on, we don't know what's going on, the leg. And I'm like, does he have a leg? And they were like, yeah, he does, but there's something wrong with it. And I'm like, but if he has a leg, what's wrong with it? So they just went away, nobody looked at me, nobody knew what to say. So it was just complete silence, and sure, I was crying. And a nurse came over and was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, is he alive? And she was like, I'll let the doctors tell you. And I was like, okay, he's dead. I was lying there, nobody would speak to me, talk to me, and I was like, he's dead, that's it. And the lovely nurse came up from the maternity unit and was like, look, all I know is he's breathing on his own, but he's going in the ambulance. And I was like, that's fine, I'm going too.
Yeah.
But
when you were pregnant, was there ever anything flagged, or was it a healthy pregnancy?
It was a normal, healthy pregnancy. They said I was a 25-year-old healthy girl.
Poor old Monty's getting an awful doing there.
The only thing he noticed was that he was breech, so he was flipped around like. So they scanned me every week or two because they were like, okay, you'll have to have a section, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. And nothing was noticed, and he came out with his feet first.
So we know that he got taken away. He got taken to Crumlin Hospital?
So he got taken to the NICU and he was kept there for 8 days. And they did a full body MRI in Tralee, in our local hospital.
Okay.
And then we went up to Crumlin.
And tell us, what has the treatment been for him since those early days in Crumlin?
So, well, he's had a lot of hospital admissions anyway. Constant cellulitis of his left foot, he's sepsis, he's a cyst of his stomach where he had to have the NG feed because he couldn't tolerate anything orally. So he's on constant medication for the cellulitis, and he's anemia, and he's on alpelisib. So it was a trial drug that was given on compassionate grounds, and it's usually not given to kids until they're over 2. So Axel was definitely one of the youngest. At 13 months, he was approved for it.
Wow.
What impact does this have on your family?
I suppose, yeah, it's on all of us. It kind of it changed our priorities straight away. Like, you know, I suppose we just accepted life for what it is rather than what we always wanted it to be. So I suppose myself and Sarah brought us much, much closer. You know, we spent months, loads of nights watching endless Judge Judy on the television in the hospital. And although it was a very traumatic time, I suppose, we were really close. It was during COVID. It was just the 3 of us for days and weeks. So it does have an impact on the family, but...
And there's 4 of you now.
There's 4 of us now.
You went on to have a little baby Arlo.
Arlo is 12 weeks old
And
yesterday.
everyone congratulates us and was like, oh, Joe, at least you went on to have another. And I was like, look, it's nice to have a little sibling. The 2 of them can play, and even if Arlo was born with the same condition, it wouldn't matter to us.
Yeah.
We love Axel for who he is.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
For people...
Oh, there you are, both cuties.
Like, you can see one of his feet, or whenever you talk about the overgrowth, like, what impact will this have for him? And because I know you do have to go to Paris to get this treatment for him as well. Like, going forward, will this treatment try and just keep it in check, or what's the hope?
So the treatment, he takes the higher dose of it, so it regressed his speech and his social kind of skills. It worked a lot in his brain, but if you saw photos from when he was very small, he was really, really big. Oh, wow. The overgrowth was very extensive. So the medication has helped an awful lot, even on his legs, but it's just on his feet. It just doesn't seem to be helping. So there's no cure for cloves, but it's just, you can help. Yeah. There's different ways to try and help manage symptoms.
It's something obviously you're going to be living with as parents, but also for you, Sarah, you are a nurse.
Yeah.
So how has it affected your work life? Have you had to stop working, or I guess you're nursing at home anyway?
Yeah, I work in A&E in our local hospital, University Hospital Kerry, and my colleagues are fantastic. So when Axel comes in as well, they're fantastic. But Joe, I see people coming in now and I see the struggles from the parent side as well as the doctor side of trying to get services and trying to get into the hospital and just wanting someone to hear you, and this is the child's issue. So I definitely feel like even having kids in general, it really makes you soft when you see the little kids coming in unwell and all the little nannies and that come in, and you really want to be kind and caring to them and just give your all. So I had to reduce down to just 12 hours a week because I was doing my full time, and then sure, when Axel was born, he needed the care, so going back was even tough. But we've great family and friends and neighbours, and we really do. It takes a village. Like
relied a lot on local help.
Yeah, the local help has been unbelievable. Like, we're from the Stole and even North Kerry into West Limerick. The people on the street, like, the most common phrase we've heard the last few weeks is, "Oh my God, is this Axel?" Because he has an Instagram page called Axel's Journey. And I suppose it has helped raise awareness of rare diseases. Because I suppose as parents and for patients with rare disease, I suppose they've 2 battles. The first battle is the illness or disease itself. And the second battle is living in a world where nobody really understands what he's going through. So I suppose his Instagram page has really helped explain what he's going through. And people locally and miles away have really come on board. Like in the Stole now, they've organised fundraisers. We have a white collar boxing event coming up with the Trojan Boxing Club. We have a comedy night, Magpies. Like, people can't do enough.
Yeah.
Like, literally complete strangers. They just want to see this. Like,
and the kindness he has received.
Yeah.
Because like before, I suppose when you look different, people tend to point, stare, talk about you quite loudly. So we just keep telling Axel, it's okay to be different, it's okay. And it was just that we were having a lovely day out, and kids were being mean, and the parents weren't saying anything. And I was like, look, Joe, we need to try and get more positivity before he's for amputation of his feet.
Okay.
So we were like, we want Axel to be accepted for who he is.
Yes.
So I'm like, if
So
we
who
share
is
some of
he?
the story.
Tell us about Axel aside from clothes. Oh, he might do it himself. Here we go, stand up.
He's waiting for this.
As he gets older.
Oh, over to his
and
auntie.
So you said he has to have amputation.
Yeah, so the left foot is booked in for January.
Okay.
So we're working towards that. So he'll be meeting prosthetics and plastic surgeons just with the port wine stain. But it's all in the hope of less pain and more function.
Okay, and is he in pain?
Well, he's definitely in pain a lot.
Yeah.
Joe, he's crying, holding his toe, and he puts Monty's, his little friend's tag into his sore toe that he's holding onto. So, and then he holds his back a lot because he has hydronephrosis of both of his kidneys. So it means the kidneys are swelling and they can't get rid of the fluid.
So as parents going into the likes of Crumlin Hospital, you must be just so appreciative of everything and the people that, like, does he enjoy going into hospital?
Oh, he does.
He does, yeah.
He just goes around with the nurses, happy out. Like when the doctors are looking at him, he does the vacuum of his stomach showing off.
Oh.
So he is.
He's the carry boy when we go to Crumlin. Everyone goes, oh, it's the carry boy. I'm not where Axel gets it from, but Axel loves the attention. So he's happy out.
His little favourite nurse above Annette, she got him a little Christmas present and it was Monty, but it was in the literally taller than him version. So they're very kind. So you don't feel like a number, you really feel like they really want to know about his life and what they can do to make him better.
And in terms of his treatment going forward, how will that impact him in later life?
I suppose we're hoping that he's getting at the moment extensive physiotherapy to prepare him for his amputation. He's getting a lot of speech and language therapy. So we're hoping, that I say with our fundraisers, they're allowing us to do this. They're allowing him to have the therapies. So that's why we really appreciate every effort. So at later life, I suppose this is for life. He has alpelisib medication, but it's not a cure, it's just a management drug.
Yeah.
So it's something that's going with him for the rest of his life.
I mean, you can just see him there. He's
nipping over
to the chocolate brownies. I think he's going to taste that. If people do want to try and help and support Axel and his journey going forward, how can they do it?
I suppose there's an Instagram page. If you search Axel's Journey, you'll see his GoFundMe link. So we've received unbelievable support through his GoFundMe. It's through his Instagram. Locally in Kerry and in West Limerick, we have events going on, I suppose. So at the moment now, a few of our friends and people in the locality are training for a white collar boxing night. And so people who haven't boxed before,
what's the social media handle again?
It's Axel's Journey _pros.
On Instagram?
Yeah, on Instagram, yeah. AXEL.
It's absolutely brilliant.
And we've got messages for that from all over the world.
Amazing.
From celebrities to people like
yourself.
Oh, and so you had Jonathan Ross, you had Johnny Sexton, you've had so many people send you messages.
But we've also been speaking to one woman from Argentina, and her son has the same exact.
Just message Axel's page,
It's the real positive power of social media, isn't it, and bringing people together.
Yeah,
and I think we're going to share those details on Ireland AM as well on Instagram, so you can follow the links. And look, Axel, I think he's here to stay for the day, to be honest. What a brilliant...
It's gorgeous. And of course, his little brother Arlo as well.
Hey.
Listen, Eddie, Sarah, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us. Thank you so much for Axel coming in as well. It's an amazing little boy, and hopefully the treatments and everything goes really well from in the future.
Thank you very much
for coming in. Lots more to come on Ireland AM.
Now, our firefighting chef Paul Knapp is in the kitchen today preparing a delightful sweet treat.
Oh, it is delightful, yes. Turning cookie dough into a big chunk of love with some chocolate cookie bars. Come on,
Well, say that again. Tell me a big
chunk of love.
A chunk of love.
That's
Good morning to you.
Well, that's why I left loads out there, because I knew they were going to disappear. So so we're making chunky chocolate chip cookie bars. So instead of making the cookie, we're actually just putting it into the tray. And because it's kind of got the sides on it, it stops it from spreading. So you get more kind of like the cake kind of a job and stuff. Yeah, that's so good. You've got it all over your chin as well, dear.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. So what we got is we're going to the classic kind of chocolate kind of cookie dough mixture. So we've got butter, we've got sugars, we've got flour and stuff. And then what we do is say all the recipes up on Ireland M's Facebook page as well as the Virgin Media One's website. Before we kick off, can I say happy birthday to my mum?
course.
It was my mum's birthday yesterday. Where are we, Mum? Happy birthday, Mum.
What's your mum's name?
Mum. That's what we call her.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Happy birthday, Mum. There you go.
Eve Montague, down in Rustington, down in West Sussex. So it was a birthday yesterday,
brilliant.
so I didn't get a chance to see
She
her.
always watches it on the player as well.
I always send her little clips of you guys and stuff. They sound how wonderful I am.
Slagging you off.
So, right, what we do is we're going to take some butter. So we put some butter in. So from start to finish, like the weather's kind of turned, so it's a nice dish that you can kind of get the kids involved with and make as well and stuff like that, all right?
So anything to keep them entertained with this rain.
Exactly, yeah. So what we've got is we've got our butter and we've got our sugar. So we're putting in some dark sugar and we're also putting in some of that, just the kind of regular kind of caster sugar as well. So as I said, from start to finish, realistically, about 30 minutes, and that's including the 20 minutes cooking time. So it doesn't take long to do, and it's stuff that pretty much most of us would have at home. So the
difference in sugar is why?
What it does with the brown sugar, it will kind of give it that almost like the caramelly and a little bit more colour as well and stuff like that. So we bring this together. So make sure your butter is at room temperature, nice and soft. Because what we want to do is we want to cream this together. So when we leave this to kind of blitz for sort of about a minute or so, and what you'll see is it starts to change its colour. It starts to get lighter. It starts to get a little bit fluffier and things like that. Okay. So what we're also putting in there as well is we're putting in there regular flour and we're also putting in corn flour. Okay. So we put the corn flour in, and what that does is the corn flour. Let me just turn it down a little bit. The corn flour.
So this is vegan?
It is, absolutely, yeah, because what we use a plant-based butter.
Okay.
So there's certain recipes that you kind of really have to go to the four corners of the world to source stuff to kind of make it kind of plant-based or vegan, yeah? And there's other things that are really, really easy. Yeah, so like dark chocolate, isn't it? It's dairy-free just by default anyway, okay? You can get a plant-based butter, and we've cooked with margarine for years anyway, do you know what I mean? So it's no real biggie, just kind of switch one to the other.
Big time.
And we put corn flour in there as well. So what that does is corn flour interrupts the protein in this. So what it does, it makes it kind of softer. So it's almost like a tenderizer for cake. So if you want a nice soft, gooey, chewy cookie, put some corn flour into it as well. So that really helps. That's why we put corn flour into bacon and stuff like that. Okay, so what we've got is this is now ready just to add in the rest of our ingredients. It's as simple as that. So what we've got is something that's going to raise it. So we've got some bicarb soda. We've got a little bit of baking powder goes in there as well. As I said, all the recipes up on Island Dam's Facebook page.
Are they not the same?
Bicarb and baking powder? Yeah. No, baking powder's got a couple more little bits and pieces in, but they do the same process. What they do is once they mix with kind of a liquid or an acid, they start to kind of give off a gas, which is carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide gives it the raising agent. Baking is science.
Now
Cooking is just chuck it in.
Now you know, Mr. Bow. Now you know, Mr. Bow.
Thought I'd have you stumped there today, but oh no. He's a bloody firefighter. How's he meant to know all this stuff?
I actually did trainers this before I was in the fire service.
Fair play.
So,
that's very interesting.
And then all we're going to do then is we're going to add in there a little bit of liquid. So all we got is we're going to put in a couple of tablespoons of a plant-based milk just to give it a little bit of moisture. And then all that gets brought together, like I say, like a cookie dough. So that's really, really simple. It doesn't take long at all.
So what was that? Just 2 tablespoons, really, of the milk?
Of a milk, yeah. And then the last thing that we're going to add in there is just some roughly chopped up dark chocolate. This is what gives it its nice kind of chunks. Have our oven preheated. So our oven's preheated to about 180, okay? So once this comes together, go on.
It's important to have the oven good and hot.
Absolutely, yeah. You want the oven good and hot, so just put a little bit more of that in there like that. Just bring that together. So what you want is a rough
texture, would you like?
You want that rough kind of cookie dough that will come together like this, yeah? So that's what it is. And then the last knock-ins, all we do is we just literally just chuck this in like so. Okay. It's as simple as that. And then what we do is we just bang that into a tray, and we're going to cook that in the oven then. Literally just bring it all together, just literally like that. We can take that out.
And you deliberately are keeping the pieces nice and chunky.
Because that's what you want. You know, like you said there, you can see the amount of gooey chocolate that's in there.
So good.
So again, all we do is we bring this together like so. Okay, really, really simple. Just the last bits, and what it is just typically your classic kind of cookie dough.
Cookie dough, yeah.
But the difference being is rather than kind of put this out and like scoop it out into the tray and then they start to spread, all we're doing is we're literally just popping this straight into our tray.
Could you eat it like that?
You can eat it like this if you want, of course you can. Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be good for you, would it? Would it not?
It's not going to be good for you anyway, Alice.
No, but you know what I mean. Would you get sick or anything from that?
No, not at all, because all it is just realistically, it's just butter.
Just butter, yeah.
It's just butter and sugar. It's going to be very, very sweet. So we press that down like so, like this. And
so
then
it goes in for 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes. 20 minutes, just chuck that into the oven for 20 minutes, like this.
And one we prepared earlier.
I love that bit. Here's one we prepared earlier. So all we do is just going to cut these into however many portions. And the nice thing is you can control how big these portions are,
big
okay?
Ones there.
Oh, careful your hands.
So all we do is just going to take this out. The first one might be a little bit sacrificial because it's going to be all gooey
and stuff,
crumbly. Yeah. Okay.
Love it.
Well, do you know what we'll do? We'll use this one a little bit better.
Scooper.
And then, because it's nice and warm and soft.
You want to be careful though with the chocolate that it's not too warm.
Yeah, yeah. There's a bigger one here for someone.
No, that's just...
Now, get that in for Tommy now.
And then all we can do is just to ease
Now
our
we're making it to ease our conscience. We're putting a few berries, a few blueberries, raspberries,
strawberries, anything that we can do just to make ourselves feel a little bit better about ourselves.
And you have some ice cream as well,
of course
do you?
we do. Yeah, we're going to stick a little bit
Cookie
of
dough ice cream.
Well, no, we're going to go with the vanilla ice cream.
Oh, I love a bit of vanilla ice cream.
So we're going with a little bit of vanilla ice cream. There's a slightly more larger
And this is
one.
vegan ice cream as well.
This is a dairy-free vegan ice cream as well, absolutely. Really readily available from the supermarkets. And there we go.
Oh, Nap, you're spoiling us.
There we go. There's one there for Mr. Tommy Boat.
Is that that's the big one? One Tommy, get that in.
Wow. Oh, look at how gooey it is as well.
And that's what you want. You want that gooey, you want it warm, you want it soft, and you want it warm.
Delish.
Absolutely delicious.
Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much. We very seldom get a treat like this from you.
No.
And
happy birthday to your mum as well.
Happy birthday, Mum.
Happy birthday, Mum.
There you go.
Now, up next, Eric Roberts breaks the mould at a Dublin pottery class. We'll see you after the break.
You're very welcome back. Now, Eric has been watching a pottery masterclass take place this morning.
But now it's time for him to get stuck in.
Yes, Eric, we're waiting on this. Off you go.
Patrick Swayze, eat your heart
Guys, you should be very excited because we have been absolutely flat out here. I'm here with the lovely Roberta, who is our pottery master here today, and she's been talking me through a few of the steps. But I want to know, first of all, Roberta, how did you begin to work here at Alternative Dublin?
So basically, nearly 1 year ago, I found the job advertising. They were looking for an artist, and so I got the interview and I joined the company 1 year and 3 months ago.
Amazing. Is that a Cork accent I detect?
No, I'm Italian.
Italian?
Yeah, but I still keep in my Cork accent just to be fun.
It's a stunning accent, very similar to the Cork accent. And you've been working here now for a while. What exactly happens? What's the process of these classes?
So the process of these classes is bring back the creativity that we lost on the way. When we were young, we are more free, and then the life got in the middle, and now we try to bring back the creativity.
Brilliant. So it's people that might have been creative in their younger years, they come back here and it rekindles that fire in them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I noticed that a few people come back and look at me and say, no, I don't know, I have no idea what to do. And then they are the most creative person that I met.
Incredible. And we're going to find out how creative I am now today, because we're going to actually make some of these amazing cups that I see here in front of me. So is this a difficult process, or is this one of the more easier things that we can make here?
This is the kind of easier things that we can make.
And is that because you took one look at me and you thought I better stick to something easy? Okay, that's fair.
Absolutely.
No, that's fair. Okay.
Well, I promise you, you're going to go home with a fantastic masterpiece that you can use in your home.
I can drink a good cup of tea out of this now.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right, well, let's get stuck in here. I want to find out how to make these things now.
So we go through a little bit with what we have in front of us, okay? Pencil.
Pencil, check.
Pencil is for just decoration,
I feel like a surgeon.
Yeah.
Okay, what's this?
This is a shaping tool, so it's going to be your best friend for the next couple of minutes.
Okay, so this is important. We're going to keep our equipment here.
Absolutely.
We're prepped,
then
we're ready to go.
Then we have our clay in front of us, okay? We already have a bowl.
Yes.
So we
nice and round.
Nice and round.
Okay.
Now,
and what type of clay is this? Is there different types of clay?
Yeah, there are different kind of clay.
Okay.
The most common is the air clay, so it's dry.
Amazing.
And get dry.
Okay, right. Well, let's get stuck into this now. So we're making a cup. So I'm going to aim for that. I might do my own different shape, will I?
Well, if you like. Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm going to do a little love heart.
Yeah.
For my wife at home. Neve, if you're watching.
Oh,
there we go.
that's
Look, I'm always
lovely.
thinking on her. Isn't that lovely? And what are we doing here now? So we're going to press down on this. So you show me how to do this later.
So we pinch the clay
pinching.
around.
So this is what it's called, pinching.
Pinch clay.
And we're getting our shape.
And you can make a shape.
Amazing. It's quite therapeutic, isn't it?
It is actually. You know what? It's used a lot in art therapy.
Okay.
Because it's bring you back in the first 6 years of your life, and it's called the sensory part.
Okay.
Because when we are little, the first way that we discover the world is with the touch.
Amazing, and it does, yeah, it's bringing me back to my youth here, I think.
Exactly.
Now, I'm kind of butchering this at the minute. It's not exactly taking shape here, so have you any advice for me now? What am I going to do here next?
Well...
We're going for a wee love heart there, so we'll tighten that up there at the bottom. Look at that. Now it's taking shape. Roberta, you have the touch of an angel. Look at that.
Oh, look.
Look at that.
Fantastic.
Right, so I'm going to need to dip this now to smooth this out. Isn't that right?
You see over here where you have all the little crack and the little wrinkles.
So when you have the classes in here now, it's BYOB, isn't it? Bring your own beer.
Yeah.
So I'd say you get a few heads in here now, and they're making their mugs, and I'd say it's a disaster.
Yes,
Is it?
absolutely.
And you do karaoke.
Fun.
It's
fun.
fun. That's
it's
the main thing. That's the main thing. You do a bit of karaoke in here as well?
Well, if they want.
What's your karaoke song?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Oh, no, really?
Oh, no.
Really?
Oh, no, dear.
We'll not do a duet then.
I'm very bad.
Well, you
Trust me.
I'm as bad a singer as I am at making pottery, so that says a lot for me. Everyone in here is working really hard as well, guys. How are you all getting on? You're all flying. Brilliant. Some good nods there. Thank you for that, guys. Wonderful. So we're nearly finished here now. We were making a few earlier on. Now, this one isn't taking as good a shape as I thought it was gonna, but I have a few prepared from earlier on. Will we grab them, Roberta?
Absolutely,
okay.
yes.
So I engraved mine earlier. Look at that. Now, Roberta didn't help me with that at all earlier. That took shape all by itself. And do you know what? I might give this one to Alan, I think, so he can drink his morning coffee out of that there. What do you think?
That's lovely. That's
isn't it
a lovely
gorgeous?
present.
So, Roberta, if anyone wants to come to these classes, how can they find out about them?
On Eventbrite and Instagram.
Eventbrite and Instagram?
Yes.
Okay, and it's Alternative Dublin.
Yes.
Incredible. Well, we're going to continue to make some more masterpieces here for the next while, guys. Get our hands dirty. We might do some slow... Have you ever seen Ghost?
Oh, yeah.
We might do some slow motion ghost shots.
Oh, yeah, please.
Okay, I'm gonna be
Looking
you,
forward.
Patrick. I'm excited as well, guys. We're gonna go back to you in the studio now. We're gonna get our hands dirty, but we'll check in again in a little while.
Go on, let's have a look at it. Hold it up there for us.
Let's see it there, Eric.
You want to put the handle as well?
Yes.
You're not even too busy in the moment.
We're rolling.
Swayze, each
We're rolling.
all
I
over
wanted
again,
to see
isn't
him
it?
sitting there going,
with the water.
oh, my love, my darling.
No better man for it. Fair play to you, Eric Roberts. Now, coming up in the final hour of Ireland Day, we've got some reading recommendations. I'm going off my holidays. It's going to be perfect.
He's gone for a month. Forager Phoebe is whipping up some Meadowsweet ice cream.
And Jennifer Rock will be answering your skin questions. We'll see you. Arash Arish Galua.
A what?
Arash Arish Galua.
Good morning, you're very welcome back to Ireland Day. Now, from page-turning books to pampering your looks, we've got you covered this hour. First up, we're going to be discussing the hottest summer reads with our resident book reviewer, Ciara King. Good morning.
Good morning,
to
Tommy.
you. How are we getting on?
I'm good. No, I know a lot of people are going away on holidays this week, and they're looking for poolside reads and seaside reads and whatnot. So we have a tell-all book about Victoria and David Beckham. There's a brilliant book called Teddy. It's a debut book by an author, and that's a page turner. And
one for me.
I've got one for you. It's a thriller. It's a new John Grisham novel.
Oh, happy days. Can't go wrong with that. He's got a new one out, has he?
Well, it's kind of new. It was out in the last year or so.
Very good. Ciara King, looking forward to that. That's coming up at 9:20. Alan is outside living his sweet life with Phoebe, Forager Phoebe.
Yeah, that's right. We've foraged and harvested, and you won't believe what we're making. We're ice cream.
More ice cream. You guys are getting so many treats today. You must have been very good.
How can we make ice cream out of what you have?
It is such a gorgeous plant. It's growing everywhere at the moment, and it gives the most delicious flavour. So I'm going to show you all the tips and
What
tricks.
is the plant?
It's called Meadowsweet.
Meadowsweet,
Yes,
and this is it
Meadowsweet.
here.
It smells like vanilla and almondiness.
Okay, I know this because I know that when you brush against it, they all fall off, don't
And
they?
that's why we're doing this
Look
outside.
at them, they
because
literally,
it'll be
it
everywhere.
just goes everywhere, yeah. But they're everywhere at the moment as well.
This is the season for it at the moment.
Okay.
It's called Summer's Farewell.
Oh, Jeannie, we haven't even had a summer yet, so let's not say farewell to it just yet. Now, Louise is in with the skin there this morning.
Yes, that's right. Jennifer Rock is here and she'll be doing a Q&A session with us at 9:45. What topics are we going to cover, Jen?
Quite a few, to be fair. We've had a lot on pigmentation because if we're bringing our books abroad and we're sitting in that beautiful sun, the reality is that our beautiful Irish skin tends to like to have a little bit of pigmentation. So we have that and hydration and exfoliation. So
and maybe we can tell Alan and Tommy as well why we're banning sunbeds. It's a no from me.
Huge no.
Dreadful.
Yeah.
Eric has also been perfecting his pottery skills this morning. Eric, how are you getting on?
I have found my new passion, guys, in pottery making. I'm having an absolute blast. Jonathan here beside me. Jonathan, you volunteer here, is that right?
Yeah, I've been kind of volunteering with Alternative Dublin since 2020, middle of the pandemic.
And what is it you love so much about this?
Well, just this creative process in general, not just the clay pottery here, but everything that Alternative Dublin has to offer. I just think it's really, really good and important for
absolutely. It feels like a community almost in here.
Yeah, somewhat. But it's really, really good for people our age and older to get back to their sort of creative roots.
I think this is going to be for more show than actual practical use, but I'm going to keep practicing here, guys, as best I can. Hopefully I'll have some souvenirs back to you now, back to you in the studio.
Walter Rash up next from a gripping...
No, we're going to do text first.
Excuse me. Stop giving out to me, Oscar. They're giving me an awful time here. Up next.
Tell us again, what was that, Louise?
Anyway,
we're talking about sunbeds and text with Micheál Martin.
Sorry, we're talking about sunbeds, and can we just finally agree that they're no good?
Well, what are sunbeds in Irish?
Oh, that's a good one. Labagrena, Rodrigo
There you go.
See, we don't even have a word for that, because they're a waste of time.
We were talking that Micheál Martin has called and back to call for sunbeds to be banned in Ireland. And we're getting so many texts from you this morning. Last week I was in a nail salon, and within the hour I was there, continuous stream of people in and out to use the sunbeds.
June said, they remind me of coffin boxes and completely freak me out. Never use them and never will.
Yeah, well, agree. Good on you, June.
Yeah.
Ursula says, I lived on the sunbeds, even rented one out. In 2018, I suffered the consequences and got skin cancer. I was lucky, but ended up with a huge scar on my arm. I would hate to think of anyone going through what I did.
And remember that there was a time when people actually rented them and had them in their house for a couple of weeks. Yeah. Laura said, sunbeds should be banned. I used them years ago. I did 10 sessions a year for a good few years and ended up with a melanoma cancer. I cringe when I see people coming out of the tanning shops now.
And it's like we know, and we've been reminded so many times about how bad they are for us, but they're still there, as one of the texters said, that there's still a stream of people. And like, if you're of an age and you want to do them, though, do you know what I mean? Like, Micheál Martin wants to ban them. But if people like them, what do you do?
Yeah, but you see, Tara here says the topic this morning on sunbeds. I've suffered with psoriasis since I was 15. I've used cream after cream, changed my diet, and even did light treatment on and off my whole life. The only way for me to manage my psoriasis is a weekly sunbed. I completely understand the issue that it can come with using sunbeds, but let people make their own decisions, just like many things in life. And if that works for her once a week, well, do you know what? There's somebody here this morning with us, Jennifer Rock, who knows more about skin than most people. Jennifer, your thoughts on sunbeds?
I think the reality is, Alan, is that the UV radiation that's emitted from sunbeds is 15 times stronger than our regular UV from walking out and about. And I think it's the educational side that sometimes people aren't informed about. Totally appreciate that people have their own perspective and their own realities with the psoriasis scenario, but there are other ways. And the stats are undeniable globally that the more you put yourself underneath a sunbed in any shape or form, particularly under age 35, that it has a direct correlation with an increase then of a possibility of skin cancer in the future. And it's just not something you'd want for yourself or a loved one. So just to take it really carefully and cautiously. So I personally and professionally would be very much for banning them. I think there's other ways to get that tan.
Sorry, then can we ask you about the psoriasis then if somebody has psoriasis, are there other ways?
Yeah,
are there other light treatments?
So psoriasis is an autoimmune disease. It's not just a skincare condition. So it's definitely worthwhile seeking counsel from your doctor, going to your pharmacy. There are, as that particular texter said, you can have a light-emitting diode, which is LED clinical treatment, which does help it. And there's lots of ointments and medical treatments that will assist. So there are options that are far superior and so much safer than a sunbed, I have to say.
Very interesting. It is amazing. Because we do hear the education all the time about how bad they are for you. But it is just really interesting to hear from people who are so against it, but then some people are just saying, I know the warnings and I just continue to do it. So thank you so much for sending in your text.
And I'm going to say it one more time. If you do want a nice tan, there are so many options now from the bottle. Maybe you could release your own tanning brand, Tommy Bow, you know, something like that. Bronze by Bow.
Yeah, but with Tara there, with one thing, it could be a cost thing. That it's so much cheaper just to go and get the ones.
Expensive.
No, but to get the one sunbed for her psoriasis rather than maybe going to a light treatment in a clinic where it probably costs a lot more.
But that's such a different scenario than just wanting to.
That's her decision. It's her decision. You know, you can't tell people exactly what you can and can't do unless you're Micheál Martin, who is going to try and ban them. So there you have it. Thank you for that, Jen.
I'm all here for Bronze by Bow anyway. Up next is a gripping thriller, a celeb memoir, and we've got a book for everyone.
Yes, Ciara King is going to be here with some riveting reads.
We'll see you back here in a few minutes.
Bronze by Bow.
Fáilte Rashka, Ireland AM. Well, from a deep dive into the lives of the Beckhams to one of the most glamorous debuts of 2024, there are lots of books to get stuck into this summer.
And with me going on my holidays this weekend, I can't wait to get a good review of them all. We've got broadcaster and resident bookworm Ciara King with us.
Guys.
Good morning to you, Ciara. So we've got 3 books to go through. We're going to start off with the Beckhams. This is House of Beckham, Money, Sex and Power.
Yeah, okay. So just to start off and say, I was a huge fan of the Spice Girls, so I've always loved Victoria Beckham. At one stage, I think I had a very short cropped hairstyle like hers.
Right.
When I was about 16.
Spice up your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Girl power.
And my brother was a massive Man United fan, so I grew up, you know, with David Beckham as well, who, as a teenage girl, I found was very easy in the eye. And then when the two of them got together, it was like, they were the first kind of celebrity couple that I was interested in, let's say, you know, as a teenager. We had a cat called Becky, named after David Beckham. Like, we were immersed in the world of Victoria.
You must have loved this book.
Yeah, and I followed their... No, I didn't love this book at all, and I'll tell you why. I followed their careers, I followed their marriage. It's very hard not to. They've been in the tabloids for about 25 years now.
And all of their 18 kids are on social media. You can nearly get a play-by-play.
Yeah, absolutely. So you kind of, well, you seem to think that you might know what's going on in the Beckham's life, but you don't really, because nobody really knows what goes on behind closed doors in a marriage or, you know, anything like that. This book, it's almost written like if someone really hated you, they would write this book about you. It is so petty and vile.
Oh, it's a scathing review.
It's a scathing take on David Beckham and Victoria Beckham separately and as a couple.
Because it was just the Netflix documentary quite recently that they, I think, produced it. You could tell that they were all over it.
Yeah.
And they both came out of it very, very well. It was a great documentary. I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it.
A lot of guys and girls I know watched it, loved it as well.
Yeah.
This is the other side then.
There is, but you also have to remember that was produced by David and Victoria Beckham, so they were going to show whatever side that they wanted to portray to the world, and I think that we all need to be really aware of that, and that's what they've done over the last 25 years. But this was, like, honestly, the nosy part of me was like, oh, maybe I'll find something out that I didn't know about David and Victoria Beckham. It is old, rehashed tabloid stories, absolutely confined into this book, and it is just, it's so, he's so cruel about Victoria Beckham. He comments on her weight, her skin, her personality. He kind of almost makes her out to be this non-entity of a human being who just wanted to stay with her husband because she loved the fame. And I was like, wait a second, buddy. She was a Spice Girl, okay?
Yeah.
She mightn't be able to sing. I don't care. She was Posh Spice, you know?
Do you think, though, that there are people out there, and I hate to say it because I see this all the time on certain social media apps like, you know, X, where someone will release a new podcast and people want to speak negatively about something that has happened. You know, so do you think that there's, like, hate commentary? Is he writing it just to be petty?
Oh, it's so petty. I'll give you an example. David Beckham has advertised lots of things over the last 25 years, and he obviously at one stage, now I don't remember this, it must have been an English ad, he advertised fish fingers and how he loved to eat fish fingers, okay? He obviously got, you know, some dollars for it or whatever. And in the book, the writer was like, well, David Beckham nor his mother have never talked about the fact that he had fish fingers as a child.
Oh, honestly.
Guys, it's literally that petty. And he kind of wants us to think of David Beckham as not that good a footballer, a womanizer, and someone who has avoided tax. There's a breakdown of all the money that David Beckham and Victoria have made. It was actually really boring to go through it. And this was the first book that I was like, I'm not going to finish this because this.
And what is Tom Bauer's connection to the Beckhams? None.
I don't know. I mean, he's a journalist. He's an English journalist.
Okay.
And I mean, in fairness, Victoria and David have been playing and doing a dance with the English tabloids for a very long time now. But there's nothing new that we don't know that's already out there about the Beckhams that you'll read in this book.
Well, what about the Rebecca Lou situation? Because that was one area that they brought up in the documentary, but kind of glossed over it very fast. Do you actually get a bit more info on what actually went?
No, you get the exact amount of information that three of us know about that whole situation that happened however many years ago.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you have it. The house
I might
of
know a little
Beckham.
bit more.
You gave it
there.
1 star, Kira. You didn't rate it at all.
No, I gave it half a star. And it's only because I felt that I was told to give stars. I would give this no stars.
No stars.
I don't know who would want to read this.
But there are some people who just, dislike them and might enjoy... But I suppose those people probably know all this stuff anyway.
Well, we all do. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, there's nothing new in this book. It's actually just really mean, and it makes me root for the Beckhams.
For the Beckhams. Okay. Go Becks.
Next one.
Right, for me then. So we've got a bit of a thriller. We've got a bit of John Grisham.
Yeah. Now, this is called Exchange. It came out in 2023. And it's, John Grisham has written, over 30, potentially 40 books at this stage. Don't quote me on that. Sorry.
Yeah.
So this is called The Exchange. And this is after The Firm. Now, he wrote a book called The Firm in 1991. And it was about a young character called Mitch McDear who takes down this big, powerful legal firm. And he goes on the run. Tom Cruise played him in the movie. So I didn't know this. I didn't read The Firm. So I read The Exchange. And in the first kind of 6 or 7 chapters, he's talking about, Memphis and taking down this law firm and how his life is all different now. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And then it kind of dawned on me, wait a second, this is a sequel. So then obviously I did some homework. And it is this character, Mitch McDear. He's now living in New York. He's still married to Abby, who's the character from the first book. They've got 2 kids and he's living a very comfortable life in New York. And he gets involved with a legal case in Libya. And one of the associates gets kidnapped and it's up to him to travel around the world to try and get the 100 million ransom for her.
Okay.
I would say, and this is what I wished when I finished the book, I wish that I'd read The Firm. I wish that I'd stopped after the first 7 or 8 chapters and gone, this is really interesting. I like the idea of that old character. I'm going to go back and I'm going to read this. If you're looking for a thriller to sit by the beach or the pool.
The brilliant book.
Yeah, I haven't read it, so I think that's what I do. And even John Grisham fans were like, kind of wishing that he hadn't written this and they should have been more excited about it because it was a much-loved character. But there was just some...
I read you said at one stage you felt like he was going on a journey forever and not getting anywhere.
It was really boring stuff about plane tickets and car journeys and the weather, and I was like, oh my God, give me something here. And as I said, it got to chapter 8, chapter 9, and I was like, okay, where's this book going? What do we do? What is the plot here?
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of chapters to read, but I guess he had to recap from the character to tell new readers, obviously, about... But for me, I just wish that I'd read The Firm.
He had so many movies, like The Time to Kill, Pelican Brief,
huge in the 90s.
Huge in the 90s. Has he just dropped off? Is the writing just not what it was?
Well, I read a lot of John Grisham novels back in the 90s, so this is the first time that I'd kind of gone back. But I think, as I said, I made the mistake of not reading The Firm first.
What about the final book, Teddy?
Have you got a star for it? Go on.
Oh.
I'll give it 2 stars.
Oh, right.
Better.
Okay.
That's a big jump from the Beckhams.
2 out of 5.
No stars.
Are we going up and up? What about Teddy? This is the final book.
Teddy, I was just thinking, because I'm going on holiday on Friday myself, and I read Teddy last week, and I was like, oh, I would have loved to have had this if I was sitting by the pool or sitting by the beach.
I love the artwork.
Yeah.
It's girly.
So it starts off with Teddy, and Teddy is after walking away from a party. Her dress is covered in blood, and she's been interviewed by US government officials. And then the story is told through a series of flashbacks. And Teddy is 34 and she's not married, which in 1969 Texas, oh my God, she's on the job for the rest of her life. She meets David, she goes on a couple of dates with him, and she just marries him and he just marries her. He also works for the government, and they head off to Rome because he's got a job over in Rome working with a senator called The Wolf, who used to be an actor and he's now into politics. So a lot of Ronald Reagan vibes, and also the kind of cold politics and the Cold War politics of that time in the late 1960s.
But still romantic.
Romantic, I wouldn't call this a romantic novel. No, not at all.
I only love the romance. Go on.
What is it about? What sort of genre is it?
Teddy is it... Well, people have said that this is like Lessons in Chemistry and Mad Men.
I saw that.
I wouldn't agree with that.
What does that mean?
Did you ever watch Mad Men on TV?
I watched a bit of it, yeah.
You know, kind of like the females in the offices in Mad Men, and Lessons in Chemistry was about a female who was a scientist in a man's world. And I don't agree with that. Teddy is a very complicated character, and Teddy ends up doing something pretty scandalous when she's over in Rome. And a lot of the book is her trying to cover up this scandal and just keep on making the same mistakes. Her husband David is also hiding secrets from her as well. But it's set in late 1960s Rome. There's loads of art, there's loads of beauty. Like, I love Italy. And you've also got Teddy, who's a character from Texas, who's blonde and gorgeous, and in American pageants, she's that sort of character.
Yeah.
And I think you're probably meant to feel a little bit more for her than I did, but it was still a page turner.
That's good to hear, because Emma Dunley, this is relatively new for her, isn't it? Is it promising?
What's to come? Absolutely. And when the reveal of what she did actually came out, I was like, oh, right, okay.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You're a tough critic here.
So a little bit of, an anti-climax for me, I think, in just... Yeah, anyway. But it's a
How many stars?
We all
I
have
give
those.
it 3.
3 stars.
I will give it 3.
Okay, so you got a 3, 2,
There's loads of stuff about
3, 2 and a 0.
Yeah.
Okay, but there you have it. Teddy by Emily Dunley, a debut novel for her as well. Very interesting.
Thank you so much, Ciara.
I still think I'll go for the Grisham anyway, but thank you, Ciara King, as ever. Great to have you with us.
If you want to read along with our book club next month, we're going to be reviewing Celia Amiri's Meet at the Rainbow Corner.
There you have it. Send us your thoughts on the book to irelandm@virginmedia.ie. We'd love to hear your comments on it, or 0896 111 111. Thank you, Ciara. Look forward to hearing your review on that. Coming up next, I scream, you scream, we all scream, ice cream.
Excellent, Tommy. See you in a few.
A walk in the countryside today. Chances are you'll come across Meadowsweet.
Will you? Here to tell us about all the uses and benefits and what Meadowsweet is. We're also going to make some delicious ice cream. It's Forager Phoebe Foran. Good morning to you, Phoebe.
How are you?
Yeah, so I have never heard of Meadowsweet. What is it?
I think a lot of people might not have heard of the name, but you might recognise it when you're out for your walk or...
These ones?
No.
They're hydrangeas. These ones here. So all these ones here at the front. I just brought a bit of pop of colour, you know.
Thank you. And it does look, it looks fantastic.
So these guys here, they're called Meadowsweet, and currently you will see them all along the hedgerows in the Irish countryside. I collected these yesterday in Wexford, down in Castletown. But like, you will find them if you were driving through the mountains, anywhere along there's a hedgerow, or if you have a meadow.
How would you distinguish it?
So it grows quite tall.
Okay.
Tall like this, and they'll stand out of the hedges, and they have these tall plumes. Now, these guys here, the colour has kind of changed a little bit in them because I picked them yesterday, but they're usually quite creamy, and they stand upwards like this.
And if you do that, they look...
That's the
same thing with it, and it gets all over your clothes if you literally brush it.
That's why we're doing it outside, because you make a bit of a mess. But also, there's a bit of a rhyme and reason to it as well. They say in Irish folklore, this is a plant that you don't bring into the house.
Why?
It's supposed to bring bad luck. Generally, with a lot of, there's like hawthorn as well, it'll be similar. It can bring death into the house. So we say, we're going to work with this one. We'll play with this one out in the back garden.
Really?
Yeah.
And do people believe that sort of stuff?
Well, some people do,
Would you take it inside?
I work with it out in the back garden. No, I'm not messing with the fairies.
Oh, wow.
I'm
so
not
you
messing
wouldn't,
with
if you were
the
doing any... So when you were doing all this with you had all this in the back garden?
So what I had to do was I had to take all of the flowers off the plant, and I sat in my back garden and I pulled them off the plant yesterday in my back garden.
Because you don't want to mess with the fairies.
Don't mess with the fairies, you know what I mean?
Would you not
know
walk
more than
under
we do.
a ladder?
Maybe I'd be okay with a ladder, but a fairy ring, not a hope.
Wow, there you go.
Very interesting. Okay, well, listen, where would you find this generally? Just like in meadows?
Well, so it's funny, because the name meadow, you would think it grows in meadows. It can, of course, grow in meadows, but really you'll find it in hedgerows. And the name Meadowsweet actually comes from the fact that this would have been used by moonshiners to make mead. So MEAD, the mead of Meadowsweet, is actually in relation to making homebrew. Yeah, so they would have made mead from it, which is a honey-based liqueur that I make all the time. And I infuse it with these plants as well, because it brings out a beautiful flavour.
How do you do it? How do you make it?
Listen,
well, you have a bottle. We might be able to taste it. But what else? What else are they good for? What else? What other good benefits do they have?
The benefits for it, this has been used all throughout through Irish history for taking care of things like arthritis, gout, skin conditions, biome problems with the stomach, digestive, really tones everything up.
But how do you do that? In what way? Is that a drink?
With things like that,
your gout and your stomach problems, just drink more mead.
As a herbalist, I will always make a tincture out of this, and you make it with the leaves and the flowers and the stems, because it's full of salicylic acid, which is a natural compound.
And then what would you do with that?
And then once it's made, people would have a little spoonful of a day once I prescribed it to them. So, but this guy here, when you are working with it for confectionery, for the likes of the stuff that we're going to do today, you don't really want to taste them very medicinally, and because of all the salicylic acid in those leaves and in the stems, it can taste a bit like Savlon.
Oh, yeah.
Which isn't great.
No.
Because it's not really what you want in the likes of sweets and nice things.
It's good for medicine-y because it tastes.
Yeah, it actually has that
But
Savlon.
I believe, are you not going to make ice cream with it?
Well, I am. But that's why when I worked with it, I took all of these, one by one, Tommy, picked these little petals off for you last night.
In your back garden?
In my back garden, so that they wouldn't taste, because those guys here, you don't need to eat it, it's grand, but you can smell it. But because it's only in the stems and in the leaves will really give off that really strong medicinal flavour.
Okay.
So what I did...
How do you make ice cream from
very,
it?
very, very simple. So all you have to do is add in a cup of milk into your bowl.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
This is great. This is our second
know,
batch of ice cream today. Paul Nath got his ice cream earlier.
That's 2 cups of heavy cream.
Okay, right, yeah.
I would put in, now this is the good stuff, like a half cup of sugar.
And probably extra to get rid of the taste of the meadow sweet.
Well, this should be okay because there's no leaves in it.
Exactly.
to it.
And then you're going to put in a pinch of salt as well, just to help. And then first what you're going to do, though, is you're going to add in your meadow sweet into it, and you're going to stir it all up, and you're going to leave it just to infuse for about an hour.
Now, Phoebe.
I know, doesn't it look delicious?
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't look like ice cream to me.
Does it look lovely? But so what you're going to do is you're just going to let it infuse for about an hour to get that flavour into it, but also to let the sugar that's in there to dissolve. Then you can strain them off. Don't be worried. Strain them off.
Because I was thinking, like, you know, you have honeycomb and you have like bits of it all in. I thought it was going to be eating leaves.
You love chunks of it. I would always add in the likes of a heather honey, like from my pal Ollie. I would add in
to disguise the flavour.
No, bring it all out.
Stop and leave her alone.
And some vanilla extract, or if you have a vanilla pod, you can chuck that in as well, and leave it to infuse for an hour. And then you can either throw it into the freezer in a bowl and just kind of stir it regularly. It'll freeze over a couple of hours. Or if you have a little ice cream machine, you can chuck it into that.
Is that an ice cream machine?
Yeah, this is an ice cream machine, and you can chuck it into that, and it'll turn it all for you. Yeah.
Come on, Tommy, you try.
So here's some here for you.
Here's now that's for.
There's here.
Oh, that's enough.
You're a growing man now. Come on.
There you go. That's you, Alan.
Growing lad.
Right.
And what I do is, to make it even prettier, I would add in like a little sprig of some mallow flower, just for prettiness sake.
That looks lovely.
Can you eat them?
You can absolutely eat them.
Okay,
there we go.
If they go into the bowl.
So what's that, mallow?
Mallow, yeah.
Mallow. Okay.
I took them from my neighbour Valerie's garden this morning.
Thank you, Valerie. Right, what do you reckon? So,
it's tasty.
Nice?
Yeah, no, it is. It's very tasty.
Definitely
you also
taste
have a
the
drink
sugar
here
and
as well. So how did you make that?
I have a drink here as well.
Oh,
so
you can taste it.
Yeah,
you can taste the
but it's
meadow
nice,
sweet.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's nice. Rearrange those words.
I thought it was going to be terrible, but it's not bad.
If I went into an ice cream shop and I saw meadow sweet, I would consider getting it.
Yeah.
This one here is a meadow sweet cordial as well that I've made for you guys.
How do you make that?
That is a very easy process as well. Stick it on a hob, a litre and a half of water, a load of sugar, and a load of those flowers. The same process.
And then
let it
strain
infuse.
it.
Strain it off and let it all infuse.
And could this be like medicine then, as you were saying?
That tastes a bit more medicinal, doesn't it?
I think that's nice too.
It's quite
Do you
nice,
like it?
though.
Do you like that
the
now?
orange and lemon.
Yeah. Well, you see, I had to kind of hide the medicinal flavour, because I find with the cordial, though, you do get a bit more of a medicinal flavour.
And this is your mead.
Oh God, I'll be murdered.
But tell me, is this good for you? Do you know when you're talking about the gout and all that sort of stuff?
So, as I said, it's so full of goodness. It'll take care of your stomach, digestive system, and people will make it into a tea and run it through their hair for better, for hair strength and for nourishing their hair, like a shampoo.
What do you mean?
I like that. That's good.
After you've washed your hair, you could pour a cup of it over your hair.
Very sweet as well.
God, I'll be murdered.
Take a snip of the new.
No, I won't be taking that.
No, because it's morning television.
It's morning television, exactly.
We drink wine. We drink wine.
Right, very interesting. Okay.
We do have to always say, people, like, if you have any of these problems, make sure you do go to a doctor and get it, and consult a doctor on it. But Phoebe, as always, thank you so much. Really interesting. These are just growing everywhere at the moment.
They're growing.
It is nice ice cream, Tommy. Don't worry about it.
Meadow sweet. There you have it. Keep an eye out and make whatever you can.
Thank you, Phoebe.
Thank you.
Now, coming up next, the skin nerd Jennifer Rocca answers your questions and gives her skincare recommendations.
I will see you back here very shortly.
Thanks for staying with us. Now it's summer in full swing. Rain or shine, skincare is one topic we get lots of questions about on the show every week.
And here to answer your dermatology dilemmas is the skin nerd Jennifer Rock. Thanks so much, Jennifer.
As always, when you're on, the questions come flying in. Okay, let's start with Marion.
Yeah.
Any tips for age spots? Can they be lightened or do I need laser treatment? Now, I get them as well when I get even though why do I get them even if I'm wearing factor 50? Is my age?
Yeah. So
No, but is it? Like, you know.
So look, for anyone that doesn't know, age spots are usually called age spots because people associate them with a certain age. The reality is they can come at any stage of our life, but it is caused by damage from when we were younger.
Yes.
So the majority of our sun damage is actually done by the age 20. So I appreciate most people listening and thinking, oh goodness. So the question here from Marion is so apt, you know, how do I look after it? So there are options in a clinic to get laser, IPLs done, peels and treatments. Sometimes those treatments can actually make the skin more sensitive to light and then in turn bring more pigment back. So just always make sure you go to a reputable clinic, of course. In terms of home care, I'm a big believer in doing in-clinic at home side by side when there's a specific concern that you might have. So we were just talking about this before we came on air. Eucerin is one of those go-to brands. It's a really affordable one. It's 100 years in development. Sorry, it's 100 years in existence, should I say. Yeah. Years of development, lots of clinical science. And this is the #1 pigment range in the UK. So I love this as an option because often pigment solutions aren't the most cost-effective, Alan, as you'll know, because you're saying that that's your reality. So key ingredient in it is one called thiamidol. It essentially, I'm going to try not get too nerdy. When you have pigmentation, what's happening in the skin is there's an overproduction of an enzyme which causes that pigment. Now that pigment is actually there to protect you. This is a serum. You'll like the feel.
Now, this is nearly 50 quid, so some people might go, 50 quid, but how long will that last?
Quite a while. You're only going to place it on the areas you're conscious of, and typically the pigmentation comes across the forehead, highest part of the cheekbone, upper lip. To be honest, most of us have pigmentation. Like if you took your clothes off and looked at yourself in the mirror, usually you'll notice there's a different colour across the chest, the neck and the face. So I'm a big fan of placing it all over, but it's for a specific purpose. And you will get results in a couple of weeks' time. The studies show it.
You see that, like even pigmentation on my hands there. But you don't worry about your hands really as much, do you? It's because when you see it on the face,
you're more
conscious of it.
Is it not like a little freckle? It's cute.
So
sometimes it's not. It's more than a freckle, though, isn't it? And I think Marion's probably a bit more worried about that.
Exactly. So what we're trying to do is reduce it. But what I like about this product, that reduces it and it prevents it coming back. So not all reduce and prevent. So it's a double angle. So for the cost, for the size of the mill, for the amount that you get in it and the results that you're going to get, all I'd ask you to do is take photographs because you become so emotionally attached to an area that I want to make sure that you see that difference 30, 60, 90, 120 days later. It does take time because that damage was caused quite a few years ago. It's not just from your most recent.
So you're talking 3 months maybe before you'd see any kind of difference.
And be consistent with it. And that's the hardest part of skincare, but it's definitely important.
Maria is asking Jennifer, she says, hi, I'd like to know the best way to take care of menopausal skin. How do you prevent the makeup sliding off when you're in the middle of a hot flush?
Yeah, and look, that's the reality that I'm heading towards in the next few years. So I 100% understand this is going to become a bigger conversation, and rightfully so. So for anyone that doesn't know, what does menopausal skin mean? What does it look like? Well, it has many different impacts. So as your estrogen levels change, it can actually swing you either to quite dry or to quite oily. While you're experiencing that hot flush, obviously it's an uncomfortable sensation. It's inside, but then it's coming outwards in terms of like perspiration. So really, what I'm a big believer in is getting lightweight texture first and foremost. So if you feel the product that I've chosen for this, it's really lightweight. It sits beautifully underneath makeup. So again, less likely when you are having that flush, that sweat, that it'll actually just keep the skin nice and dry. This is Ultraceuticals, a brand I adore, a clinical.
Ultraceuticals?
Yeah.
Ooh,
it's an Australian brand.
Now. So it has kind of almost like...
it has like a gel base to it. Yeah, I love it, but it's really cooling. So for someone who's experiencing that, if they want help with their dryness, their redness, their pigment, this will help. What is it? It's an antioxidant serum. I just wish antioxidants were spoken about so much more. They're the underdog of skincare. I personally heroise retinols and acids, but antioxidants fight against UV, fight against stress, fight against... And if you think about when you're menopausal, there's a lot going on in your body, so it just really calms the body down. So
can
beautifully
you take
cooling.
an antioxidant as a vitamin as well?
Yeah, you can do Inside Out. Big believer of Inside Out, 100%.
Yes.
But ultimately, this is going to really help when you're going through that. It is a form of stress on the body, and it's a lot for you to manage. So with menopausal skin, pigment, redness, dryness, oiliness, that will definitely help. And it's an all-rounder, and it's a brilliant one to put on underneath an SPF if someone's going on holidays over the next few weeks.
Barbara wants to know, she's away in Italy next week. We know
Jealous!
A bit of a heat wave at the moment. What moisturiser is good for myself and my 15-year-old daughter to share under 100 mils, because obviously they want to just pack it in the bag and put it on the thing. So under 100 mils. and not too
and
sticky.
to share, I love that.
Yeah,
Not
I'm just going to go,
So I'm just back from Tuscany. It was the hottest thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. Just the weekend, myself and my mom went and we stole Barbara's suggestions. So we shared our skincare. So what I brought was a very affordable option as well. So if you're thinking about someone that perhaps is, I don't know, say 40s, 50s, and maybe bringing their 15-year-old child, you want something that's really hydrating, will give that brightness and that cooling. This is quite fun because I think when you're trying to appeal to a 15-year-old, you want them to want to use it. So essentially, this is a product called Bubble Cloud Surf. It's a huge TikTok sensation.
Never seen this before.
Yeah, it's for all the cool kids.
This is a
Alan,
moisturiser.
but it's suitable.
Good
Yeah,
price
it's
point.
€18, and it's totally suitable for people 30s, 40s above. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
it's
on top.
light.
It's really light. It's literally light as air. It's like a
that's
water
nice.
cream. It quenches the thirst of the skin. So when you're in that heat and you really are feeling it and you're trying to get all your electrolytes inside.
Is this
then
new
this
to
is
the
ideal
market?
For Ireland, it's relatively new. Yes,
right,
it ran for a
okay.
while outside. But ultimately, it's not sticky, as you can feel on the testing. It's really not heavy. But in the heat, it will not slide off, but it will give you that sheer hydration. The skin just feels so smooth.
Adds a little bit of shine.
Exactly. And if you want to put a little bit of a lippy on or just a little cheek, it just gives you that dewiness. So brilliant for bringing it on the plane, under that 100ml, really affordable and suits all generations.
Brilliant.
Cool, perfect.
Okay, Ruth has a question. She says, does microneedling reduce old sun damage or dullness? Factor 50 devotee now, and she swears the 90s were different.
Yeah.
Well, they were. Factor 50. Nobody wore it back in the 90s or 80s or 90s, Factor 50.
Unless
We
you're
weren't.
going on your summer holiday and you're packing your ham sandwiches for the picnic on the beach. That
but
was the
like
only time.
in Ireland, we never did it.
No, we generally didn't. So Ruth's question is kind of twofold. So again, back to that pigmentation element. Does microneedling help with pigmentation? For those that don't know, microneedling is an in-clinic treatment you get done. It's a little needle. It pierces into the lower layer of the skin. It does help to re-educate the damage that's happened. So the answer is yes.
The blood rushes back to the surface, isn't that the
You're
idea?
causing like a little bit of control trauma, so the skin re-educates itself. However, doing it, as we said already, alongside what you can do at home. So this particular question was about a specific sunspot. So people often come to us online and say, I'm really conscious of this particular area. It's usually the highest part of the cheekbones or the highest part of the forehead, as we said earlier. This is a kind of a sister product, the used one we spoke about, really affordable, just push it on the area. It almost looks like a makeup product insofar as that the componentry is just a little...
and you just put that on the spot.
Put it on that area and the results are incredible. So where we were talking about the use of product earlier for all over, perhaps this is more for that localised, targeted elements. The same ingredients within it. It has that antioxidant element to it. And again, like I said earlier, it prevents and reduces pigmentation returning. So you can do it alongside your treatment, of course, but definitely doing something at home where you're in control every day is truly key. And pigmentation is
every day.
Every day.
Okay.
And if you're conscious of pigment, you'll want to do it every day because you almost feel like you're taking
exactly.
control.
And would that take as well now maybe 3 months before you'd see a difference?
Yeah, and
it will.
again,
Okay.
and pigmentation is such a reality for people during the summer. They're conscious of it all over. Like you said, the hands, this would be great on the hands. So just put your hand cream on, then put this on those particular areas because usually when you're driving, that's when you see them come through or they're coming up the arms. So
Now,
it is trauma skin.
Maria says, I wear a heavy foundation and find no cream cleanser takes it all off. I know I'm supposed to double cleanse, but it takes all night to clean my face. And like, I suppose at the end of the day, you're just going to take it off once and go double
it's
cleanse.
a game changer. Yeah.
Who does
Honestly.
double cleansing, really?
Alan!
I know, but seriously, most people, when they're just trying to get into bed, you just try and makeup wipes.
So I'm just not talking to you both for that comment. So yeah, to have a little feel of this one. This is a new enough brand to Ireland as well. Boots are getting all the new ones in at the moment. This is a Korean concept.
I know I'm going
and
to get it on my Guna now.
a little bit goes a really long way. Why am I showing you an oil? So this is the beauty of Joseon Ginseng cleansing oil. Oil cuts through oil. We all have some form of oil on our skin, be it that you're dry or oily. And so this has a soybean oil in it. It's a really respectful oil to the skin, just glides through and it just really degreases
like a spa.
the makeup, the SPF.
Now, can I ask you, how would you do that then? Would you put that on a piece of cotton wool or something, or in your hands?
Oh my goodness,
Put the oil on your face and just feels...
No, it doesn't.
Oh, no,
It's
I love
gorgeous.
it. So, like,
It's so
example,
nice,
today I have makeup on. Usually I don't. I just have my SPF on. A little pump of this all over, nipples up, and then truly take truly wash it off.
What would you take it off then? Would you use a cloth?
You could use your cotton pad.
But a gorgeous, like, hot cloth. You feel like you were...
It's a really, actually very clever idea. But it's a really thorough cleansing oil that doesn't irritate the skin. So back to when Maria's saying she's wearing her heavy foundation, this is absolutely ideal just to truly cut through it really quick. And Maria, you will not be washing your face all night because it works so quickly. Like,
You don't have to double wash with
quickly.
this.
You just have to take it off, though. You have to take it off.
Brilliant.
As always, Jennifer, and the skin nerd is where people can find you.
Of
Thanks
course,
so
thank
much.
you, guys.
That's all we have time for. Tommy, what's coming up in tomorrow's show?
Thank you very much, guys. Coming up on tomorrow's show, Dr. Kiva Hartley will be here to discuss the latest health headlines. Sports stars Stephen Hunt, Davy Russell and Cyril Farrell are going to join forces to raise money to fight against cancer.
Plus, the portrait artist Jonathan Yeo on painting. Did you remember that painting of
She's
King
doing
Charles?
like a lap of the studio there.
He painted King Charles. Remember that big,
red one?
Pen? But we're going to be chatting to him tomorrow.
Very good. Looking forward to that. Have a great day. We'll see you back here from 7 tomorrow.
Bye.
Wonderful.